How's it going? We're going to be making a quick video showing how to scrape data from a website just the simplest way possible. And this is we're going to be using GameRankings.com as our test website. You see we've got the title and the score, and I'm just going to make a program that grabs these two things and puts it all into a table. That way we can use that data maybe for something else. Alright, so I'm going to create a new form. I'm just going to call it get data. I'm going to rename the form into get game rankings data. I'm going to go make the form a little bigger. I'm going to go ahead and add a data view. That way we can easily manipulate our data, or maybe copy into Excel or something. I'm saving this, and I'm going to double click on this window, and it'll create a formal node. I had to double click on the gray part though, so you might have to do that too. Alright, so inside this function will get called after the form's loaded, so we can go ahead and load the data into the table. But let's go ahead and create the table. So I'm going to go back to this design view, and we're going to rename this actually. I guess I should have done this earlier. I'm going to rename it to game rankings data view. Also, the game should be lowercase. Alright. So game rankings data view dot data source. If we change the data source, we can change what's actually being displayed, and we can assign a data table to our data source. Like this. I'm actually gonna create my own variable though. That way we can manipulate it beforehand. Table dot we need to add the columns first. Columns dot add. Let's go ahead and add the name and also the type of the type of the data that we're putting in this column, and you can do that using type of to get that value. And our second one is also going to be score, and we're going to keep that as string, even though we could make it a float if we wanted to. Alright, so let's go ahead and add our first row. Rows.add. We could just add it like Super Mario 64. Maybe we give it a rating of like 64%, or maybe a little higher, 84. Save it, and if we run it, we should see that table. And yeah, we do. Alright, so we're going to move this function into up here. So init table. That way we don't have to worry about actually I'll put this function in here. Alright, so I'm just copying the variable up here, and I'm gonna go if you hit Control dot while you're mousing over it, it will and enter, it'll create the function for you. So I'm gonna do that. That way you can quickly throw everything in there. Also, I'm going to move this function up here. Alright, looks good. Looks good, looks good. Except for I need to make sure I'm assigning this to this variable. Alright, now it looks good. Or maybe instead of naming init table, I could init table's fine. This is fine. I was thinking I could just make this return a data table instead of it, but this is fine. Alright, so we don't need this Super Mario 64, so I'm getting rid of that. So now we need to actually get the data, and we're going to use a NuGet package. So open up NuGet. I'm just going to use the search up here. To open up NuGet, I'm going to install HTML Agility, the package. It'll help us parse the HTML data. Alright, so I'm going to close this. Let me open my Project Explorer. I don't know where it went. Oh, there it is. It's down here. Alright. Alright, alright. So now we can use our HTML agility pack. And it's HTML web, I think, that lets us load stuff. So let's go ahead and do that. Sorry, I'm web.load, and you could load pages. So we can go ahead and load this page or something if you wanted to. But this will actually lag the UI, and I'll show you. Here, how about I do it a billion times? So if I hit F5 and I load it 100 times, you'll see it takes forever to pop up. That's kind of annoying, so I'm going to go ahead and make it async, that way this doesn't happen. So if I make it async void instead of void, we can go ahead and assign a function such as, you can do test, hold up a sec. Do something like this. Now if we run it, you see it automatically loads the window instead of stalling, even though it's still running the load. I'm probably spamming their servers with this. I should probably be more careful. Anyways, I don't know, it's worth it, right? So for the sake of example, right. Anyways, this returns a page, which is an HTML document. Maybe I call it doc, actually. Doc's probably better. Wow, okay, well, I'm just going to set it to var for now, because apparently I have a different reference with the same name. And we can actually go to the document node of the document and go ahead and pull data from it. So let's go ahead and do, we can use select nodes. And you're like, what the hell's the next path? I wanted the same thing. Apparently you can use jQuery selectors, or you can, if you hit F12, okay, so hit F12 when you're on the page of CAM rankings, and you can inspect nodes, and like, see, so this node corresponds to a part in the HTML, and we're interested in this node, so how do we get the, what's it called again? X path from that? Well, if we right click it, we can actually copy the X path, and boom, we're done. Go ahead and put that in there. Actually, we're not actually done. We need to do two things. First off, we need to escape the quotation. So if you put a backslash behind a quotation, it escapes it, which lets you have quotations inside quotations. And another thing we need to do is, there's a problem here, and I'm not going to explain it all the way. Basically, Chrome adds t-body whenever a table doesn't have t-body in it. It just does. And so we want to generalize that. So, for instance, if I put a breakpoint there, this will be null because there is no actually t-body in the pure HTML document. I don't know if I'm doing a poor job explaining it, but basically, you download the page from like www.google.com, for instance, and then your browser formats HTML it's given, adding in the t-body part when it's needed. But since we're just straight downloading the HTML with this web.load, it doesn't actually include the t-body part. There's a few gotchas like that you have to look out for. So basically, what do? We can just get rid of the t-body, and / means look for any node within table. And if we hit F5, node actually is a node now. Actually loads. And if we get rid of these and we double slash, lots of double slashes, it will now give us 50 nodes. And if we look at the data, it's like, hey, there's about 50 of these, so that's probably a good sign, right? Yeah, it is. It is. It gives us all the links. So if we can actually look at, if we look through this, it's probably kind of small, hard for you to read. If you look through the results, though, you can see that the inner text is what we're looking for. So we're going to go ahead and grab that. So select the, I should call this nodes, actually. Let's run it, and you'll see we are now given all the names. Let's go ahead and grab the percentages. So I'm just going to get the XPath. I'm going to paste it. I'm going to rename these nodes once more into name nodes. I'm sorry, I'm mixing up my stuff. And these are going to be score nodes. And this is not actually correct. We need to escape this. We need to get rid of this. I said with a double slash rather. Whoops. Get rid of the T-body once again. If you go online, you could look up more about the XPath. There's a good documentation on it, so if you really want to get a more in-depth knowledge of it, you totally can. Inner text. Why I'm so bad at writing numbers. This is names. This is scores. This is score nodes. Yeah, okay. That's fine. So now we've got the names and the scores of this page. Let's go ahead and create a function. That way we can get it from all the pages, get all the data. Easy peasy. I'm just going to create a new class real quick. It's just going to be basically a tuple class. Yep, name and score. And this is going to return, when you're returning something with async, you have to make it a task. It's going to return a list, name and scores. And it's going to return game rankings from page. And we're going to go ahead and give it a page num variable. Now we're going to return null. Alright, so now we need to go ahead and move this data. We're going to move a few things around. I tend to move my code around a lot, unfortunately, so it might be a little hard to follow. But basically, I'm going to go change where this is located into up here, because we're going to use it more than once. So yeah. Actually, I'm just going to initialize all of it up here. I think that'll be easier than having it initialize it down here. That's kind of confusing, honestly. So, and actually, maybe init table should be up here. I think it should. So much refactoring. All right. Anyways, get game ranking for page. So we're going to need to actually, that's where all this is actually going to go. So I'm going to go ahead and paste that into here. So now we need to know what the next page looks like. So we just click next page. Hopefully, it just changes the URL. So let's go ahead and change the string appropriately. Jesus, why did it add the spaces? This is what it looks like. So page num is 0. There, we're gonna do this. Page num does not equal 0. So this will adjust our URL appropriately. We're gonna use the URL in here. And we need to actually return the names and scores, so let's return. We can do names.zip scores, and zip loops iterates through both the functions and performs another function, whatever function you want, on both of these. So we're going to go ahead and perform another function on the name and the score, and that function is going to return our name and score class, new name and score. So name equals name, score equals score. I think I need a semicolon. I think it's a comma. Should be score like that. So it can't convert types, so I need to convert it to a list. I think. Yep. Okay. So this is a long bit of code, and it's kind of confusing, but I'm going through names and scores, and then I'm using this function, and zip will return the result of this function as a list once I make it turn into a list. Right now we'll return it as an enumerable, but we can convert that into a list. So we might need to look up some words and what they mean, but I think just by looking at it, you can kind of get the gist of it. Yeah. So we don't need this anymore. Let's go ahead and also we need a case. What happens if, like, we can't find these and we just return an empty list? So if name nodes count equals 0, or not dot count, but name nodes equals null. It returns null when it's score nodes. If either of these are null, we're just going to return an empty list. Yeah. I'll write a comment. I don't know. That's an okay comment. Whatever. So we can do await page 0 or something. Let's try just adding one page of rankings to the table. So we can just do table.rows.add. Oops. Just do a simple for each loop in here. We don't need these. And now let's see if it adds the score. And it does. That's good. So now we just need to loop through all the pages. So while they're rankings, dot add. Whoops. So we're just going to load it every time. Like this. Does that work? Yeah, but we need to change this page name. This is kind of confusing because it's confusing, but I think it'll work. Yeah, it's working. The reason it's confusing is the plus plus has to be plus plus page num there. I think it would be better if I did it like this. Or maybe like page num equals page num. Something like that. I don't know, because otherwise it's kind of weird. I think I'll just do page num plus plus. I think that is the best. Alright, so hitting F5 again. It should iterate through, yeah, it's iterating through all of them, and it should stop when it's done. So we got all our data. We did it. Easy peasy. And we can go ahead and copy this into Google Drive or Microsoft Excel or whatever, which is nice. Let's see. Yeah, copy, paste. It's kind of slow because there's a lot of data. There, boom, I did it. Sweet. Alright, so we were able to rip the data. We did it. Amazing. Yeah, I'd like to take this time to point out that this method does have the problem that I was talking about, where sometimes the browser changes the HTML. Another problem it has is sometimes the JavaScript injects HTML into the page. So in both those cases, this method won't work. But this method is still valuable because you can use something like phantomjs to grab the HTML and then have, like wait till the page loads, for instance. I'm sure there's a snippet. I saw a snippet someplace. I don't know where it is. Yeah. Oh, wait, not Selenium. But basically, you can just use phantomjs to give you the HTML after a certain point in time or something. Might be useful if you want to do it on a more complex kind of project. Alright, that's all I wanted to show you guys. The worst game of all time is Charlie's Angels. I already looked this up. Yeah, Charlie's Angels. I already looked it up. Pretty garbage. Garbage game. Look at that. Shameless. Shameless, I tell you. 1.9, that's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Pretty bad game. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye. Bye-bye.